What's up, Thumpers? Welcome to another episode of Hyper Heroes here on Hyper Rabbit Power Go. It's a two-man show.
Exactly how we like it, with no Hector here.
That's right, without that stinky cheese.
We've been wanting this layout forever.
That's right.
Hector, don't watch this episode,
Don't watch this episode, bro.
Yeah.
You are not loved. Don't return.
Nobody likes you.
Stay in, where'd he go, Massachusetts?
I don't know where
the
he went.
Choosy-Choosets? Wherever you went.
The Choosy-Choosets,
Wherever you went. But no, Hector's not here this week, so it's a two-man show. We're very excited to hang out, talk about some cool superhero stuff that's been going on. I think something big happened. I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll find out. But before we get going, I just want to let you guys know, Patreon is still a thing that we are promoting, plugging, doing every single week. We're doing a commentary for John Wick this month. We're super excited about that.
Yeah.
And, everything's been going really great over there. Everyone's been engaging a lot. I've been sending out bonjoros to people.
Hell yeah.
And everyone loves them. I even snuck a couple in. Don't tell anyone.
Some freebies?
Some freebies.
Oh,
hey,
my God.
You know.
Where's my freebie?
There's a couple people in there.
Where's my freebie?
Okay, you'll get one.
I'll get one.
And then you gotta send some out.
That's true. I'll send some out.
But yeah, we've been doing
Have
those.
there been any requests for us to do any, or?
So the way it works, now that you mention it, the Bonjoro tier basically on Patreon is a way for us to send you guys personalized messages every single month, individually. It's not a one for all. So we go through individually, and anyone who's in the Bonjoro tier or above, we send out personal messages. And this month, I've been recommending either comic books or movies or stuff that's like on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really cool.
Okay.
And those just get sent out to your email. You guys can watch them. You can respond to them. There's a little opportunity to write comments. And, sometimes I'll respond back. But you should definitely check out the Patreon, patreon.com/hyperrpg. It's the thing that keeps Hyper and Hyper Heroes going. And we've got a lot of fun stuff that we want to continue doing. The Invincible podcast is a huge goal we want to reach because I want to read that comic so bad.
There's no other way you're going to read it.
There's no other way. And I'm super excited. And on top of that, movie commentaries is something that we unlocked. And I just got this sick-ass set in the mail today.
Let me hold two so you can hold the other two.
Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. All four because I love them all. Flaws and all.
Which one were we watching when I came in?
That was Batman, the original.
The original Batman.
I watched, I didn't watch the entire first Batman movie, but I watched some scenes of it to see how it looks. These 4Ks are tasty.
They're crispy?
I'm impressed as hell.
Oh, my gosh.
If you go up on my Twitter, I posted some before and after photos of what they look like. They look really, really good. Huge shout out to Warner Brothers for sending this to me. I'm hoping that we'll get to do commentaries for these. I'm sure we will at some point. Regardless of that, I'm still going to review them and discuss them.
Yep.
Because I want to make sure that people know what's up with these and whether or not they're good.
And why they're special. And, this is the one you're watching.
Yeah, that's the one that's in there.
Yeah.
And I'll leave a link to my Amazon shop in the description where you guys can go and buy these, pre-order them. These are coming out in just a couple weeks. There's also a box set you can get later in September. And Best Buy apparently is doing a special edition steelbook, which looks really good.
Ooh, I like that stuff.
Yeah, really, really nice. And there's also a bunch of other 4K Blu-rays coming out that are in that list too that you can check out. Some of them are original scans, like these ones that are rescanned in 4K. Some are upscaled. Regardless of the fact, 4K goodness, if you're about that life, I am here because,
This one's still in the plastic.
Oh, bro.
Oh, my God.
Both of these
They
are.
both are. Do you sniff the air as soon as you...
Oh, I wipe it all over my body. You don't even want to know where those corners have been.
Never mind.
Those corners have been in some good places.
I've been touching these, Adam. Son of a bastard.
You thought bat nipples were dangerous.
Oh, God.
Also, you guys are listening on the podcast. Podcast is another thing that we do. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. You can just search Hyper Heroes on any of your preferred podcast platforms. And if we're not on one that you prefer, damn you for not going to one of the major ones. But tell me, and I'll put it on there. But it should be on all major ones anyway.
One of our lights just went out, but you won't notice because you're listening on podcast.
That's right, baby. It's all good.
So don't worry about it.
What else is there? I don't know. We haven't really seen each other in the last couple of weeks.
Well, last week
you were gone. Where would you go?
So last week I went to Seattle.
Yeah, you did.
Surprise trip. That was dope. I like Seattle, so if you're from Seattle, I went to your city. I loved it, but I don't think I could live there because I need the sun. Absolutely
I've heard
need
that.
the sun.
Yeah, I've heard about the
so the seasonal depression is real, and I was only there for 2 days, 3 days.
Look, man, we've had a lot of rain and a lot of clouds here,
Yeah.
but I guess it must not compare to how much they get there.
Oh, it's all the time. Wow. It's like you get 1 month, 2 months of sun.
Interesting.
And then it freezes. For 8 months, and then it rains, and then it goes back to 2 months.
My God.
Yeah, so it's rough up there.
Dang, that's
really
crazy.
rough. So
we went to the mountains this past weekend.
How was
Yo,
that?
it was snowing.
Yeah.
It snowed.
I saw the pictures.
We live in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
In the county of, well, I guess that's outside of the county technically.
That's like what?
That's
that was
in,
like
the
2
Grapevine.
hours. That was like 2 hours up to 5.
It's like, nah, it's about an hour and a half. So it's like right at the like beginning stages of the Grapevine.
Okay.
But it was really, really nice. We went up there. We just had a nice like hyper. It was supposed to be for Kolak, a photo shoot, but Zach ended up just inviting a few extra people and was like, hey, just come hang out. So we watched Spider-Verse, we hung out, we cooked some food, and had some drinkies.
Did you guys watch some scary movies?
We did not, and I don't know why.
You should have.
I know.
You should have not slept.
I should have just brought like the most disturbing movie ever. Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, you should have brought, wait, no, Brightburn isn't out yet.
Not yet.
Hector says that's terrifying.
But
Hector thinks everything's terrifying.
You're a little bit of a baby. It's okay. I watched it last night with Emily, Zach, and our friend Alex, and it's good. Like I liked it. It wasn't as terrifying. There are definitely terrifying moments.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a review of it this weekend, and we'll put it out. But I mean, like the thing I think I enjoyed about Brightburn the most was the fact that it was just taking the idea of like if Superman was a bad guy. How would that play out?
How terrifying would that be?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it does that really, really well. And it feels like a graphic novel, like a one-off graphic novel, just come to life. Yeah. I enjoyed it for that.
Did you see Hector's interview when he interviewed James Gunn
and did.
everybody?
Yeah.
And the potential of it leading to another. Do you feel like it would be a good universe?
I think it would be very interesting to explore like a villain-centric universe.
Yeah.
And if there are heroes that like rise out of that, who are they? What are they? Where do they come from?
Right.
But I would keep it from the perspective of the villains because I think that might be interesting and
it's
different.
super unique.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and they tease some stuff at the end of that movie, so.
Yeah, I think that's what he was talking about. How like the end teaser kind of sets things up for like potential other things coming. I haven't seen it yet, but this weekend for sure.
We've been watching a lot of movies here. So we're on A-list. If you're not on A-list or if it's not available in your area, I get why you probably wouldn't go to the movies every single week. But we're on the AMC A-list, so every week we can see up to 3 movies. And we have been going every single Thursday night. We've seen John Wick, Pikachu. We got tickets for Godzilla. We got tickets for Brightburn. We're going to go see Aladdin this weekend.
Nice.
We already got our tickets secured for Spider-Man. So
nice.
And Dark Phoenix also. So we're going to be doing a lot of reviews as much as we can of like other movies that are not just superhero centric.
Yeah.
Mostly because like we love talking about it.
Right.
And we've just been watching a lot. Like Zach has been taking me down the Criterion rabbit hole, and we've been watching Wong Kar-wai and really, really great stuff. I've been showing him some stuff that he hasn't seen. It's crazy. Like this is the most amount of movies I've watched since like I lived with.
And you're so happy.
Oh my God! Like I'm a happy kid watching movies.
Also, is the comic books and coffee thing going to continue? Like, is that going to keep going?
Yeah. So Comics and Coffee, if you have not seen the show, it's a show that Zach was doing on Twitch live. Every single week for like over a year, and you know came after he did the poll on Geek and Sundry and all this stuff. But he asked me to come on, and I've now done it for 3 weeks, I think, and I think it's just going to be something that we're going to continue doing. We've been co-streaming it on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and everyone seems to really enjoy it.
Right.
And it was really just Zach needing someone to come on, and we read 3 issues of Murder Falcon the first week that we did it. You need to check out that comic
book. I know.
Book.
I think I would love that one.
So sick. There's only 8 issues of it, so it's a really quick read.
Yeah.
But we read the first 3. I fell in love with it, and we've just kind of been doing it every single week. And it's been a great opportunity for me to catch up and like read on comics. Like I've been reading The Flash year 1, the first 2 issues. I really liked, the reintroduction of Barry Allen and what they're going to do. I read some other stuff. I read this Tales from Science Fiction. It's a John Carpenter Presents comic book.
Okay.
And the volume that I read was very much like Alien, and then there's like another anthology that felt more like a zombie thing mixed with like Assault on Precinct 13. So there's some really good comics out there, and I've been really enjoying the opportunity to do the show every single week with Zach because he's so well versed in comics.
There's nobody else I trust besides Hector.
Yeah, nobody
it's
else.
Zach. We really lucked out that we have Zach and Hector in the same building.
I lucked out he has 2 iPads, so I can read off of one and not have to buy a single issue.
That's so tight.
But yeah, that's been a lot of fun. So if you have not checked out Comics and Coffee, I know it goes unlisted after. I'm going to talk to Zach and see if we can make those public. I don't think he'll care, but I just want to make sure I get permission to do that.
Just check in.
Yeah, exactly. And we also do talk a little bit about like movies and TV stuff on there because Zach, he watches a lot of superhero or just television in general, and he also watches a lot of movies, and he knows a lot about movies.
Right.
And we are actually going to launch a new little like video series. We don't have a name for it yet.
Interesting.
But it's going to be Zach and I breaking down crazy, not crazy, just breaking down scenes from movies, whether they're like crazy stunts or impressive camera work, because you know how Zach and I are. Like, he loves cinematography, lighting, composition. I'm all about the tech shit.
Yeah.
So we're just going to spend, 10, 12 minutes talking about a scene from a movie and breaking it down. And the idea is that, we introduce each other to either new scenes or introduce facts about scenes.
Yeah.
And it'll be a nice, fun, insightful thing for you guys, we hope.
Yeah.
And just another way for us to just make some little piece of content that you guys will enjoy, that kind of gets us through the week while we're doing other hyperhero stuff like commentaries or Q&A stuff or whatever it is we end up doing. The usual stuff.
It's good supplementary content.
It is.
Yeah.
Good subs,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, we're always like thinking of ideas and trying to think of other things that we can do to kind of like, because Zach and I are here all day. Like, I'm working on hyperhero stuff. He's working on Twitch stuff. But there might be a couple hours here and there where we're like, well, we're kind of free and open. We have this amazing set that's always ready to go.
Right.
We have a natural lighting situation happening here in the daytime, so we should take advantage of it.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, so
I think the combination of you and Zach both being workaholics is going to produce some crazy content.
We love to sweat about
you guys,
really nerdy things.
Zach sometimes complains that he has no time off, but I think Zach likes having no time off, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not 100% that way. I'm like, I like to be busy, but I like to be productive.
Yeah.
And if I do have an opportunity, I'm like, I can just sit and watch a movie for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Pump that shit in my veins,
Do it
please.
up, homie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The one other little piece of housekeeping, it's not really housekeeping, but I guess it's worth of an update. Avengers Endgame is $161,150,739 away from becoming the #1 highest-grossing movie of all time.
That's a big movie. Or that's a big number.
$100 million is still a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money.
Could it do it in the next 8 weeks? If it still runs theatrically, perhaps, but there's a lot of stuff coming out.
There's a lot of content coming out, and I feel like, I don't want to say that there's burnout, but I feel like the people like you who have seen it as many times as they're going to see it,
baby,
have seen it already.
Yeah.
Like the 6 times that you went to go see it, it's not like you're rushing out to go see it a 7th.
No, the only way I would go watch it a 7th time, well, because I really want to see it in Dolby, but I think that time has passed. I think it's out of Dolby theaters.
Okay.
I'm mostly just trying to catch other people up of like, you haven't seen IMAX? Let's go find an IMAX theater. That's also, I think, run its course because other movies have come out.
Yeah.
John Wick came out in IMAX. We saw that shit in IMAX. Oh
Amazeballs?
my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's where
the
I need to
seats
go watch
rumbled. It was
you
dope.
got those rumbly seats.
No, the sound was just on point. That beat slapped, brother. It was amazing.
The sound was so on point
so good.
that it was rumbling everything.
Shit. But I mean, like this week we've got Aladdin. That'll be coming on Dolby 3D and IMAX, I think.
Which has been getting decent reviews.
Pretty decent. Yeah, we're going to check it out. I'm curious about it. And then next week we've got Godzilla, and that's definitely going to take up probably IMAX and Dolby.
Yeah, that's
so I think
like screens.
Yeah, so I think the screen numbers for Avengers are going to slowly, or maybe not slowly, because May's kind of a big month.
It is a big. I mean, it's May's a big month, but also like the summer's coming up.
Exactly.
It's kind of a full lineup as well, so it's got kind of a rough time ahead. But also, like there have been people who have been asking me. They're like, "Should I go watch Endgame?" I'm like, "Well, how far along are you in the MCU?"
Did you miss the train?
Right.
Did you miss the conversation?
It's what we talked about last time, basically.
I mean, look,
I don't think I'm doing it any favors.
Yeah,
I'm just go fucking watch it now. Who cares?
It's like it's one of those things. I feel very differently about it. As much as I like to joke about, like, yeah, you probably should watch all 20 movies before or 21 movies beforehand. At the same time, I love watching movies in a theater, especially big movies like that. Like those movies are meant to be experienced in a theater.
Absolutely.
If you haven't seen all of them, do I think you're going to be so lost and confused that you'll not understand what's happening? No. I feel like most people who watch our show, they're on the internet enough, they're on social media enough that they have an idea of like, great, it's this big freaking alien who's assembling these Infinity Stones and he wants to wipe out half the universe.
Yeah.
The rest of it, you can kind of fill in the blanks. And if you go back at some point and you watch the other movies, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I'm just always about like, cool, if this movie's playing theatrically, why would I not go see it? It's the
Right.
whole reason why I have A-list.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, the theatrical experience is not always the cheapest for a lot of people. If you can afford A-list, I definitely recommend it. You get 3 movies a week. You can see any format you want that's available at AMC. So
You're lucky that you have this amazing theater right down the street, too.
I know.
That's really
We're right
dope.
around the corner from the AMC City Walk,
City
which
Walk,
has an
yeah.
IMAX theater and all that sort of stuff.
Anything you want, basically. Is
Pretty
there.
much, yeah, minus a Dolby theater, which you have to go to Burbank for, but like it's down the street.
Yeah,
so
that's literally some people have to go from
Like
city
miles.
to city to city to watch that.
I mean,
kind
I
of
know we
stuff,
have a lot of
so.
viewers who talk about, they're like, man, I have to go like an hour and a half to see IMAX. I'm
Yeah.
like, I get it. I
That
wouldn't want to
sucks.
either.
Yeah.
If I had to drive to San Diego to watch an IMAX
Right.
movie, would I do it?
You
No,
wouldn't do
probably
it.
not.
No, I wouldn't do it. No.
Irvine is probably as far as I would go.
That's
And
still
that's
pretty
still
far.
that's still like 45 minutes
That's
on a
still
good day.
very far, yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, there was also an article that came up from IndieWire, and they were like, the headline was Avengers Endgame probably won't beat Avatar, something along the lines of like, it doesn't meet expectations or whatever. I'm like, it's the number 2 highest grossing movie of all time. I don't, at this point,
Does it matter?
who gives a shit?
Yeah, it really doesn't
It
matter.
made
at this point.
$2.6 billion at the box office. You think
Yeah.
Marvel's looking at that going, well, we thought we were
Well,
going to
we
overtake
didn't-
Avatar.
Their goal was not to come out and beat Avatar.
I know. Guys, that studio has made $22 billion in fucking 10 years. In 22, they've almost averaged $1 billion per movie.
Yeah. Yep.
It's fine.
Yep.
It's all
They'll be
good.
okay.
Or
They're
1.5.
They're
I don't know how much.
successful as far as they're concerned.
Exactly.
Right.
It's all good. So I know a lot of people get really upset and hung up on those headlines. It's just clickbait.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean,
don't worry about it.
At the end of the day, we're not seeing any of that money, so I'm just like,
I don't give a
whatever.
shit.
Stop making money now. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
What
just go
doesn't
watch the
matter to
movie.
me, baby. I'm
Yeah.
not making that $65 million that Robert Downey's making.
Exactly.
So
What the F, dude?
some big old paydays, big old
Oh,
chunky
man.
paydays. Let's get into this first topic.
All right.
You might have heard. I heard.
I don't think anybody
I don't know
heard about
anybody
this
heard
one.
this. Maybe
Yeah.
nobody heard about this. Apparently, Robert Pattinson has been cast as the Batman in the new Matt Reeves movie coming out in June 2021. There were some conflicting reports after this exclusive from Variety came out saying that, well, hold on, he's not necessarily 100% signed. We're hearing it's between him and Nicholas Hoult, who's also a frontrunner for the Batman. But as long as Pattinson signs, he's kind of the number 1 choice for Warner Brothers to play the role, or for Matt Reeves or whoever. As the internet normally does, a spiraling effect
When will
happens.
they learn?
Guys, we've been going through this for 30 years with Batman.
Every single time a Batman announcement is made.
They literally made a trailer for the 89 Batman movie just because of these sort of responses. It's going to be fine. If the only movie you've seen from Robert Pattinson is Twilight, then you need to do some homework.
Yes.
He's done a shitload of other movies in the last 10 years.
Right.
Come on. Do some homework. He just had a movie out in theaters called High Life by Claire Denis, who's a French filmmaker. I heard nothing but good things about it. It's now on Amazon Prime. I can't wait to check it out. I just rewatched Good Time just for the purpose of just rewatching it.
Right.
I was going to try to squeeze in a video called The 5 Robert Pattinson Movies You Should Watch Before You Open Your Mouth and Talk About Batman. I didn't do it because I didn't want to get saucy remarks.
Yeah, exactly. You
But-
should have called it the top 5 movies that you clearly didn't watch.
Exactly.
That you need to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's done so much good stuff. Like, if you have not seen Good Time, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, there are literally 5 or 6 of his movies that are available on Amazon Prime you can watch right now, including Good Time.
Right.
There's the Lost, I think it's called The Lost City of Z. Cosmopolis is on there. Like, there's 5 of his movies that are available that you can watch so you can get an understanding of who he is as an actor. He's not the sparkly vampire from Twilight. No. Even he talks bad about those movies and how, like, they didn't do him any favors. And the same thing with Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart won the equivalent of the French Oscar for Best Actress a couple of years back for Personal Shopper.
Right.
These are good actors. They just need to be given the right material.
Right.
I mean, we've seen actors who we regard as great who sometimes are not either in good movies or their performances are not as strong because the scripts are not as strong.
Right.
So if you're on the Robert Pattinson hate train, I really recommend you watch some of his other movies. Watch him directed by other filmmakers and other stories. I promise you there will be at least 1 or 2 that you'll look at and go, oh, I get this now. And it's not necessarily that he plays it like he's playing Bruce Wayne or Batman, but you're seeing a range.
Right, absolutely.
Which should encourage you to think like, oh, cool, if he can do a character that's like this and they're polar opposites, there's range for him to play a character that is like a Batman.
Right.
So that's what I recommend number one. You're going to do yourself a disservice if you're just going to go on Instagram and Twitter and just say, the dude from the Twilight movies? Like, bro, that was 10 years ago.
Just like that, Malika.
That
just
is
like
so
that.
old. Malika's going to jungle around the lights. Oh, look at that.
I when I first heard this news, first of all, I took it with a grain of salt because I'm like, okay, cool. I can't invest my time in these salty ass comments.
Yeah.
First of all, like I knew it was coming, and personally, I haven't seen any of the other movies. I haven't even seen Twilight. Like I don't know Pattinson's movie filmography or whatever it's called. Yeah, but at the same time, you said this already. We've been through this gravy train already. Like, what happened? Do people not remember when every other Batman casting was casted?
Guys, Ben Affleck just happened 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Or technically 6 when he was cast. Y'all were salty back then about it.
That was rough as well. So I just think it's funny that people are already running their mouths. They don't know what's going to happen. Like, and people act like they were in the casting room or like they were involved with any part of seeing either like an audition or anything behind the scenes where this guy shows that he's probably an amazing actor. Well, not actor, but like the performance he gave to give people an idea that he could be Batman was probably pretty amazing, off the walls. Like, totally. This is it. The other thing I like about him is that he's not a giant hulking man. Like he's not. You put out that tweet where you're like, is it just me or is Batman not always a tank? You know, because he's not.
Yeah, and I know what people are gonna say. People are immediately gonna be like, did you guys have a problem with Ben Affleck being big? No, it fit that Batman because that Batman is loosely based on the Dark Knight Returns version of Batman,
where he's big and beefy. He was a thick boy. Batman.
It fits that completely, 100%. I have nothing against that.
Right.
But I don't necessarily think that the trend always should be that Batman needs to be 6'4", 230 pounds of just like brick and mortar.
Right, exactly.
You know?
I mean, like the current Batman run, when you see him, like in the current DC comics, he's not a super swole dude. No. Nobody would call him a bodybuilder.
No.
He's got an athletic build because he's Batman.
That's the key.
Exactly. So he's got to look agile. He's got to look like maybe he can do some gymnastics. Like, let's get maybe get somebody who looks like a rock climber to be not necessarily that thin, like Alex Honnold thin, but like, some tone, some definition on him. And I do
like look at Bruce Lee.
Dog,
small frame, but like very incredibly toned.
Come on,
incredibly athletic and agile.
Specimen.
I mean, no one's ever going to live up to that. That's a given.
That man is a complete specimen.
But I'm saying, like, that's sort of like Neil Adams. Neil Adams in the 60s, it was about tone, and it was about agility and strength. And, you know, it's not everything has to look like Batman the Animated Series, which is obviously very beefy.
Right.
But, like, fits the artistic tone.
It absolutely
fine.
Does. Yeah.
But, like, not every superhero needs to look like that.
Right. I would really like if they did this. Now, do we have any inkling as to where this lies in the pantheon of DC movies?
So one of our buddies, Ryan Unicombe.
Yes.
I have to be careful how I word this. Basically, if you have not watched, he's got a YouTube channel now. He's got a show called The BYO Show. He talked about it. He can't obviously give away his sources because for fucking obvious reasons.
He knows people.
He knows people. He's a filmmaker. He knows.
Yeah.
But from what he told me, it sounds like this movie is going to be separate from the DC, what we've come to know as the DC Extended Universe.
Okay.
It's its own singular Batman story.
Okay.
Joker will not be an established villain yet in that universe.
Okay.
And some of the villains that he will face off with, and this was also written about in Collider and a few other articles, the two that have been really talked about the most have been Catwoman and the Penguin.
Interesting.
The other ones that he told me about were Scarecrow and Bane, Riddler, and Hugo Strange. Not necessarily that they're all going to be like the main villain, but he's going to Batman will interact with them in some way because it's, apparently the movie is going to be some sort of a murder mystery. There's also some casting stuff, but if you want to find that out, you should go check out his channel.
Yeah, because he goes in.
He goes into it in detail.
Stuff. Yeah, so that's
some really cool stuff.
That's good information to know because I feel like that is a take on Batman that we have not seen in the films at this point. It's been. I mean, that's basically what he was and what he started out as.
Yeah.
the world's greatest detective.
Yep.
So maybe they're going to give us the world's greatest detective at this point.
I mean, like, when you've got a guy like Matt Reeves who has, I mean, and we've seen the articles of script delayed, more time on the script.
Yeah.
Filming is probably delayed. I'm like,
right.
I know everyone gets really, like, amped and pissed about that sort of stuff.
Right.
I'm personally okay with it because it just means to me, in my brain, Matt Reeves wants to do the character right.
Absolutely.
If it was any other filmmaker who I didn't think was of Matt Reeves' caliber, who doesn't have a good track record with movies, I'd be like, ooh, this might be a Gambit situation where it's like,
exactly
when's the director going to rotate out, baby? But because it's Matt Reeves and he's like, we're working on the script, we're trying to get it right. I have a lot of passion for Batman. I love Batman. I love Batman. I love Batman. I'm like, cool, man. Go in your corner, do your script.
Write it up.
Forget what everybody else is saying. Like, tunnel vision, just Batman.
Yeah, kill it and let's go.
Exactly.
Let's move along to this. Yeah, so this doesn't smell like a dumpster fire to me.
No.
I feel like you're absolutely right because we know in the industry that usually when there's rewrites there or time being taken for something, that's usually for a very good reason.
Yeah.
It's because people usually have faith in a project and people are like, you know what? We're in an age now in which we don't have to have that strict let's get this movie out kind of grindhouse mentality. We're just like pumping movies out.
I'm hoping studios are getting away from that.
Right, exactly. And so like I would rather have the shift, like they kept saying, towards the filmmakers. Let's let the filmmakers take over. Let's tell some really intriguing stories and not worry about the universe.
Yeah.
Like let's get
We got that shit.
We got that. Like that shit'll build itself.
That's right.
Let's focus on Batman.
The potentiality.
The potentiality of Detective Batman.
See, we don't need Hector. We're just going to channel Hector. It's fine.
We already know what he's going to say anyway. Like the potentiality of like a thin, wiry Batman who's super agile and like can get around you and has his batarangs and just like all those grappling hooks in his car. And I think I'm excited for this. Like the more I talk about it, the more I really want to see this.
And like, you know, I know a lot of people got really kind of up in arms about the Ben Affleck script thing. But the thing that I honestly really appreciate about Ben Affleck and like, who knows what the real behind the scenes stuff is?
Right.
And maybe this story that he told us was like just a facade. I don't care. But the fact that he was like, look, I couldn't crack it. I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't working the way I wanted it to go. I wanted to hand it off to a filmmaker who I thought could do it better.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Even if Ben Affleck was like, I just want to be done with this. I don't want to do this. You guys are putting pressure on me for the date, and I don't want to do it. Let's just make up some fucking story, and we'll just move on. I'm fine with that, too. I would rather the movie be tackled by a filmmaker who is not afraid to tell the studio, look, I'm not going to do it by 2020. I'm not going to do it by 2019. Don't pigeonhole me into a date.
Right.
You want me to do the movie? I will do the movie, but I will do the movie right. I want to do it justice, and I want to do the character justice. So when fans go see it, they love it, they embrace it, they talk about it, and it's positive. It's not, well, Warner Brothers is rushing another Batman movie.
That's the thing, too, now, though. We're in a Infinity Gauntlet saga world now.
Yeah.
We know the potential of like building slow, building with an Iron Man 1 and setting the tone for an entire universe. Like at this point, any one movie can be a powder keg for an entire series of movies.
Yeah.
And this could be one of those movies.
Yeah.
Like if somebody takes Jon Favreau came in and was like, look, we're going to take one of your D-list characters and we're going to turn him into what everybody wants to see. He's going to start and end this motherfucker and you're going to cry for it.
Yeah.
Like it's just and this is Batman. It's not like you can choose any smaller like superhero. This is as big as it gets, you know? So if we get a fresh take on Batman, well, not even a fresh take. This is just like maybe going back to his roots, like a detective style Batman in which he has room to grow and evolve into the ultimate I have a solution for everything kind of Batman.
Yeah.
That's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like he saves the world on his last movie or whatever and is like, cool. I knew Brainiac was coming. I knew Brainiac was coming before any of y'all even knew.
I knew that shit. Superman, you suck.
Exactly. Like we could
I'm going to be like, fuck you, Batman.
we could get to that potential.
Yeah.
And so it's just going to be real interesting to watch what the DC universe is going to look like in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, you know, obviously, like, we had Man of Steel, we had Wonder Woman, we had Suicide Squad, we had Aquaman, we just had Shazam, which totally drops a Superman cameo. And I would say that it's a movie that's like, oh, they're not worried about it, but it's like you very specifically chose the Man of Steel suit and the history of Justice League and Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman.
Terraformers, we saw all that stuff. Yeah.
So I am very curious to see. Okay, cool. Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman vs Superman, and Man of Steel, but nothing's really happening with those two characters right now. At least those three movies for sure coexist and are going to get sequels
in some form.
Some form, and are obviously, I would imagine, are still going to coexist in the same universe.
Hopefully,
are you then going to like, if the Batman does well, bring in Robert Pattinson as Batman?
Yeah.
If you do recast Superman, it's a new Superman, but it's like the Henry Cavill backstory, or is it just going to... That's my only problem with the way the DC films have kind of gone, is like now we're muddying up the entire context of the world.
And that's another thing. It's like, do you really want the start or the reboot to your universe have strings attached to a start or whatever that was at the beginning? Like that you either loved it or you hated it. Like there are some people who are absolute diehard fans and there are people who can't stand those movies. So like, is that the first foot that you want to put forward? That's a really tough situation to be in, because at this point, Endgame changed the game completely. And we saw the potential of 10 years of movies.
Grinding, bro.
And like, not all their movies were hitters. Not everything at that point were strong hitters, but I don't know, man. Like before I thought it was just kind of like laziness or not caringness on whoever's running Warner Brothers and DC.
Yeah.
Because that's what it kind of felt like. But at this point, you don't have the time to be lazy. Like you don't have the cushion of like, well, we don't know what Marvel's up to at this point. It's like, nah, homie, they dropped the hammer. Like
y'all had 22 chances to figure it out.
Exactly. Like they literally showed all their cards and they're like, this is what we did. We just did that.
Yeah.
So, and it's not necessarily to say, hey, Warner Brothers, what are you going to do now? It's just like, hey, look, this is what planning does. Like, this is what organization does. And so I hope it kind of lights a fire under whoever's going to start taking the reins at Warner Brothers and DC to be like, look, guys, we're not going to copy the Marvel standard, but we know we have all these characters. We can work something with the greatest pantheon of characters that ever existed. Like, I can still, like, before Endgame dropped, to me, Justice League Unlimited and the cartoons were probably the greatest piece of, like...
We've been binging those here all day.
Exactly. Like, and they're still just as good, right? So they're probably the greatest piece of, like, superhero content ever created. And like I said, until Endgame dropped, and now I'm just like... like, hi, goddamn. But I still think that it still stands on its own, and it's still a really strong piece of. Like, if you have never seen anything from DC, I would suggest going back and watching those shows, because that's how I was. I knew about Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, but I didn't know how they interacted in a group, and I feel like the blueprint is there. Like, it's pay attention to your animators, dude. It's there. You've created it.
Yeah.
Follow that, your own example, basically. Yeah. It's there. It's frustrating because I see it and they don't see it, and I want to do it and I can't be a part of it.
Trust me too. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of it goes back to, we talk about it all the time. Yeah. Kevin Feige is a huge integral part to the Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and all that sort of stuff. Being the president and the guy who really, like, established, like, great, universe building, this is how we're going to do it.
Right.
It would be obviously very beneficial in order for that to be successful, for Warner Brothers and DC to have one person or a pair of people or an entity who could say, great, for the next 5 years, this is our plan.
Yeah.
These movies, not interconnected. Joker and the Batman, and James Gunn won't confirm Suicide Squad, whether it's a sequel or reboot. Whatever that thing is. But then you've got, like, Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of One Fantabulous Harley Quinn.
Right.
You've got Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, 1984, an Aquaman sequel, Shazam #2. Okay, cool. This is our universe to play in.
Yes, exactly.
This is it, and now we're going to do Flash with Ezra Miller.
Right, we're going to do Flash with Ezra Miller. Flash is going to be a great story on its own. Doesn't necessarily have to talk to Gal Gadot. Like, doesn't necessarily have to talk to Batman. It's just make a dope-ass Flash movie because Flash is fucking awesome.
And you know what's crazy to me is Man of Steel actually did really good seed planning.
Yeah.
Because there were references to Wayne, Gotham, Booster Gold. Like, there were so many references to things within the DC universe. Right. And I was like, yo, that was great.
Yeah.
Like, damn, you guys did a really great job just, like, sprinkling some stuff in there and being like, you might see this in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it was just like, everything needs to be interconnected. We're going to do Justice League first because we can't copy Marvel. And then we got to worry about this. And then Ben Affleck doesn't want to be so we're going to just cancel Batman and Superman movies. And we're going to do Supergirl and Batgirl and this and that. I'm like, just...
You're not leaving anywhere.
Come here, swole boy. Come get a hug.
Yo, you're looking thick. You're looking thick, Lucas.
Thick in all the
just
right
the right
places.
Way. Just the right way, buddy.
He walked up here without his pants, so you know what we're talking about. Thick boys. All right. Good night, son.
Bye, Lucas.
So yeah, I would say for me, like that's sort of the frustrating thing of the DC thing. And I know I've like talked about this to death of being somebody who was like, I worked there for a brief moment and I talked to an executive and their whole thing was about the quote that I hate.
Don't even repeat it.
We have to be different from Marvel. Like,
God, I hate that shit.
Don't be different from Marvel. Just be true to your characters. Be true to your universe.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do, man. That's all the obligation you have is to be true to your characters.
That's such a slap in Superman's face, dude.
I know.
And he wouldn't even feel it, but he wouldn't even care. He would hug you after you slapped him in the face.
Or he would flick you with one finger.
Well, he wouldn't flick you because he knows that you would pop like a grape.
That's true. That's very true. It's just my evil Superman comes out every once in a while.
Yeah, well, you know,
so,
your Brightburn
exactly.
comes out every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, the DC thing, whatever it ends up being, it'll end up being whatever it ends up being. In terms of Robert Pattinson as the Batman, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what Matt Reeves does. If you are too lazy to go watch his other movies that he's made for the last 10 years,
he's calling you out, homies.
Fine. You can watch 2 movies that he's going to be in. One comes out this year and one comes out next year.
Yeah.
One is called Lighthouse. It's a movie by Robert Eggers, who was the director of The Vavitch. That's coming out in September. Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah.
This new movie's got coming out, The Lighthouse. It's just Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. Mm-hmm. Like, I love Willem Dafoe.
End of a bitch?
Well, we'll find out. It's a ghost story, apparently.
Oh, fuck, I'm in.
It's shot in black and white because it takes place in like the late 1800s, like 1860s or something.
1860s in a lighthouse?
And they shot it in Nova Scotia.
Oh, my God.
In Halifax. And it's all shot like in old school, like square format.
That's terrifying. And I'm in it 100%.
It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival and like apparently did really well.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so that's the movie that's coming out later this year. The Lighthouse. Go check it out. There's no trailer yet, but there's a photo. And then he was cast in the Christopher Nolan movie that's coming out next year called Tenet. It's an espionage movie. So Christopher Nolan basically said, I'm going to do my own Bond because y'all won't hire me to make Bond. But it's John David Washington, Robert Pattinson. They announced Michael Caine.
He's playing the main character?
Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
It's John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Whoa.
Something happened out there.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Debicki, Kenneth Branagh, like a whole amazing cast of people. And Ludwig Göransson, the guy who did the music for Black Panther, is going to do the score.
God dang.
So it's going to be an espionage
so
thriller.
So much heat behind this guy, dude. This guy's on fire right now. Oof. Oh, my gosh. Okay. That's later.
That's later. Yeah. But yeah, Rob Pattinson, I'm excited for it. Go do your research. Don't be that person on the internet who's just like, the Twilight guy. Please. I beg of you, do your research.
Watch a movie.
Watch some movies,
guys.
Watch a movie. I'm literally asking you to do nothing for 2 hours and watch a movie.
You're probably with something that you love to do already.
I know. If you watch this show and you don't like movies, what the hell are you doing here?
Get the fuck out of here.
There's the door, you son of a bitch. Any final thoughts on Rob Pattinson?
I want to see the silhouette. I want to see Batman wrapped in his cape.
That's right.
Move around like a silent shadow.
That's right, baby.
Murder you.
Oh,
just kidding. He's not going to murder
God,
anybody.
I hope not. I hope in this version, no murder.
I should not have even have said that.
No, that's going to light a fire in the comments.
Strike that from the records.
Redacted.
No murder.
Let's talk a little about Star Wars. Star Wars is one weird thing on our show because I feel like when we talk about it, no one really engages with it. So I actively avoid making it the main topic of our show. Thankfully, this week, Robert Pattinson saved my life.
Yep.
But Variety Fair did a whole entire spread on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which when I tweeted out the photos from the movie, I was like, I wonder if they're going to reveal the title of this movie. And I went, wait, we already had Celebration.
They already revealed the title.
It was 5:30 in the morning, and I was not awake. But there's some incredible photos by photographer Annie Leibovitz, who is a staple of Vanity Fair. She has been with the Star Wars universe, I think, for like 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's been there since the first one, but she's definitely been there since the prequels because I have some of the Vanity Fair issues from the old prequels. And an absolutely incredible photographer, beautiful photos. We got new looks at Kylo Ren, at Rey. They confirmed that the Knights of Ren are coming back in this movie, so I'm super stoked to see how that plays out.
They even accidentally let it slip. I don't know if this is – they kind of redacted it after a while, but they were like, oh, yeah, that one shot is Kylo Ren murdering the Knights of Ren. That one shot where he's like digging the hilt of his sword into a guy and slamming him on the ground.
Ooh.
Apparently that was a Knight of Ren. So I'm like, what? And then they kind of backtracked on that. They were like, well, what she said wasn't accurate. Like,
interesting.
Exactly. So we're like, what's going on here? Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
We got a new look at Kerry Russell, who I guess must be playing some sort of a bounty hunter.
That looks dope.
She looks awesome. She kind of looks like a bounty hunter that was featured in episode 2 called Zam. Not completely similar, but a similar-ish color scheme and stuff. But you put Kerry Russell in anything, and I'm there because she's amazing.
That's dope.
Richard E. Grant, who probably is like the biggest nerd on the internet. Go follow him on Twitter. When he announced that he was cast in Star Wars, he like almost started crying.
Yeah.
He's playing a new admiral in this show or in this movie, so I'm really excited about his casting. I will let this slide. He is actually rumored to be on one of the short lists to play Alfred in the Batman.
Really?
So I'm like, yo, you put him in Star Wars and Batman, this man might die of happiness.
Just be careful. This might be the first case of a guy dying of happiness and nerdiness.
That's right.
Yeah.
So some really, really great photos. JJ also talked about sort of wrapping out this trilogy.
Yeah.
One of the things that he said that I thought was really, really cool, and it seems like a lot of this sort of stemmed from Rian Johnson being bold enough to take the Star Wars universe in a different direction and doing something unexpected and something new. That's gonna lead to its own controversy in the comics. Whether you agree or not, that's fine.
That's up to you.
But something that he did say that I really loved was, working on 9, I found myself approaching it slightly differently, which is to say that on 7, I felt beholden to Star Wars in a way that was interesting. I was doing what, to the best of my ability, I felt Star Wars should be. But this time something changed. He says, it felt slightly more renegade. It felt slightly more like, fuck it. I'm going to do the thing that feels right because it does, not because it adheres to something.
Oh, that sounds a lot like Rian Johnson.
That kind of excites me for a few reasons. Because, yes, there are things that JJ did in Episode 7 that very much feel like he did them because he felt like he had to adhere to a rule set by fandom or by Lucasfilm or by whoever or by his own sort of obligation of like, I want to make a Star Wars movie. I want to fit in this mold.
Yeah.
The thing for me about Star Wars was it's a weird movie. Like, it's weird. The cantina is kooky and weird. It's a bunch of aliens and it's like, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's and we don't look at it that way now because we just like, oh, it's a space fantasy. I'm like, yeah, but guys, you got to be weird to think of that shit.
Right.
Like,
well,
you got a dude in the cantina smoking a pipe like, I'm here for the cantina. Give me my drinkies.
Right, exactly.
Like, it's weird, okay? It's
They're
weird.
Let's just throw some blue food coloring in that milk and call it milk.
Come on. It's a weird space fantasy.
Yeah.
So the fact that JJ is kind of like, I felt really comfortable going weird. I'm like, great.
That's what it should be.
You don't have to replicate what Lucas did.
Yeah.
I think you adhere to like the rules of the universe and sort of the general like journey and the arcs that were set up and sort of the themes of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
But you should also be okay with like, I'm going to twist this a little bit. I'm going to do something a little bit new. Like, that should be fine in my opinion. That's what filmmaking is. It's not just rinse and repeat. Like, that's boring to me.
I feel like there is such an outcry right now of people, like, they're so deep in their fandom.
Yeah.
Like, the fandom is so ingrained in people. And it's not that I blame them, but I also blame them at the same time. Because
it's a double-edged sword a little bit.
People have spent 40 years watching and digesting these movies and loving these movies and going to con about these movies and dressing up like their favorite characters in these movies. And I get it. Like, you get attached to this property and you feel like it should go a certain way.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, you have to realize that the creator is going to create. Like, and the hater's still going to hate no matter what. Like, creator's going to create, haters going to hate. So JJ has to stick to his guns. That's why I fucking love The Last Jedi. I love what Rian Johnson did because he set up things that broke people's expectations. And I have a feeling that that's why JJ feels that he can do what he wants.
Yeah.
And is the reason why I feel like they got Rian Johnson to do those things, because they're like, look, guys, we're going to get stuck in a rut, basically.
Yeah.
People are going to be – they're going to go to a Star Wars movie and they know they're going to get a Millennium Falcon flying. They know they're going to get a lightsaber battle, and they know they're going to get some new droid that comes in that's cute for the kids.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to be the new staple. Like, Star Wars is going to lose its luster if that's the case. Like, that was great for the original trilogy. That was great for whatever the 90s movies were. Was it? I don't know. Was it great? I'm not sure. But
hey, man,
like, for these movies,
it is what it is.
JJ started off safe, and I get it, because we didn't know the state of Star Wars fandom at that point, because it wasn't like there's any kind of barometer, because the movies would be a barometer of like where the fandom is.
We're mostly like relying on TV stuff.
Exactly, like TV stuff, cons, stuff like
comics.
that. Any kind of like tweets or comics or anything like that. Unfortunately, you can't get a good read from those either.
Yeah.
And so the movies are really where you kind of set the levels of like fandom for people. And I don't blame him for coming in safe like he did in the first one, replicating things that we've already seen. Because imagine if we had introduced...
Here's something brand new.
Right. Or like, here's Rian Johnson's take on it and just breaks everything, right? Imagine the backlash.
If Episode 7 was a Rian Johnson movie,
right?
My God.
Oh, my God. Like, and honestly...
Would Lucasfilm still have a studio standing? I don't know.
Deep down in my heart, I kind of wish it was. Because I love breaking... Like, I love change and embracing change, and I feel like that's a good sign of somebody who, I don't know. It's just like a good sign in people that I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
Like if somebody can really embrace change, I'm like, cool. I like those qualities in people. But at the same time, you had to come in with that barometer. I think Episode 7 was really the test of like, okay, where's the fandom now? What are we going to do with it? Rian Johnson came in and was just like, we're going to do this, bitch, bam, and break everything. And now JJ's like, cool.
I feel comfortable now.
I feel good now. Ryan took all that heat off me. Which sucks to say. Yeah. Which really sucks to say.
And like, look, here's the thing with that movie. Like, there are things that I really like about it. There are things I'm not crazy about.
Right.
At the end of the day, I like the fact that Lucasfilm gave Rian Johnson or gave a filmmaker a chance to do something different.
Right.
And the backlash is what it is. And the same thing can be said for Zack Snyder. Like, a lot of people like to debate those two things hand in hand. And it's like, look, they also let Zack Snyder do what he wanted to do. It turned out the way it did, and people reacted the way they did. It's the same thing with Star Wars. I guess the difference would be is that Star Wars is like, cool, we still have to make a number 9 to fulfill the trilogy. We have to continue moving forward. We can't, like,
this is not stopping.
Hurdles, you know, till the end of the day. But, like, we're still obligated to make an episode 9, so we can't stop.
So it's not going to stop any. We're going to see
this is
Star
the last
Wars.
one.
We're going to see Star Wars for the rest of our lives, but at the same time, it's not like. I hate to say that it's.
Hurdles be damned.
Hurdles be damned.
That's what I was looking for that I couldn't spit out of my mouth.
Hurdles be damned, but also like there has to be a point in time in which the studio's like, look, this is what we're gonna do. Like, we hear you fans, and this is the decision that we are going to make, and this is the decision that our creative, our director, our person who we charge with the story feels like it's the best direction. And there's a point where you have to give that to the director. You can't pull a Sonic the Hedgehog, right? I think that's going to be like the benchmark for stuff now.
Look, I'm glad they delayed that movie because I don't want those VFX artists being screwed over.
Well, first of all, happy for you, VFX artists. That's a win for you guys.
Get some sleep, please.
Yeah, please don't kill yourselves over this movie because that would be a travesty.
Not worth
But at the same time, like there has to be a point in which they're like, look, guys, this is the direction we are taking.
Yeah.
This is for the betterment of the story.
Yeah.
It might not be your fan fiction. It might not be what you want, but this is the direction we're going to go. And I'm hoping that JJ comes in and breaks shit too.
Yeah.
I'm really, really hoping
I think
that.
so.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I got excited seeing the Knights of Ren because it was one of those seeds that JJ planted.
Right.
Rian Johnson didn't do anything with it, and I didn't feel like I lost out on anything. I didn't feel like I missed. Like there was enough stuff already happening. I'm like, great. We didn't deal with the Knights of Ren. That's fine.
I don't need that. I got this.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on.
And so I already kind of expected that the Knights of Ren would be featured in this. You're not gonna come up with the idea of the Knights of Ren, put it in a movie, and then never address it ever again. Right. At that point, I would have been like, okay, why did you put this in there?
Right.
So I'm glad that that's going to be in the movie. I'm excited to see new characters. This movie, I think in the article, they did reveal that it's going to be about a year after The Last Jedi. So I'm excited to see characters like Richard E. Grant come in and add something new to the universe. I'm excited to see Lando come in and add something from the past.
The nostalgia
into this movie.
feel to it.
And Carrie Fisher will be in it in a limited capacity. But I'm also very excited to see how Poe, Rey, and Finn, how their stories tie up.
Yep.
I'm excited to see those three characters take the adventure together because we've never seen that. We've had 3 movies, and these 3 characters have never gone on an adventure together.
Yep.
Poe was separated from everybody in the first one. In the second one, everybody was on their own mission.
Yep.
So I'm excited to now see these 3 characters finally do a mission together.
Yep.
And to see how they just kind of wrap up this whole thing. You know, it's the
agree.
end of 3 trilogies. It's the end of the Skywalker saga.
Yep.
Everything after this is probably just going to be spin-offs and TV shows, which I'm still looking forward to as well. But I do want the sort of the crescendo of the Star Wars saga to feel very earned.
Yeah.
And I want closure.
Right.
And I want Episode 9, the credits to roll at the end. I'm like, damn. I
glad
feel good about these
through.
9 movies.
Yeah. And now I'm ready for Knights of the Old Republic.
Put that shit in my veins. Here's the thing too. George Lucas got so much hate for the prequels, and I admit, I've talked a lot of trash about those movies.
I still hate those movies.
I used to talk a lot of trash about those movies, but as I revisit them, and as I go back,
don't you do this to me, Adam?
No, there's still a lot of problems with those movies, but I do like the fact that those movies exist and that we at least got to see the journey of those characters, as flawed as they are. You know, George Lucas thought that the thing that he was doing was right for Star Wars. Whether it is or it isn't, that's debatable. Because of the prequels, we got things like Clone Wars. We built out this universe and we introduced so many amazing characters. Would that have happened if George Lucas never made the prequels? Probably not. Or maybe it would have. Who knows? So there are things to appreciate about the prequels. I mean, the 20th anniversary of The Phantom Menace just happened a few days ago. And I was telling Emily, my girlfriend, about my experience of watching that movie in theaters. I got really, really emotional about it.
Did you?
So emotional.
And that's never happened
I never
before.
thought about it like that. And I started telling her of watching the special edition in theaters, and then 2 years later going to the theater on May 19th to the premiere of Star Wars Episode 1. And I started talking about it, and she was playing Duel of the Fates in the car. I lost it. I was like, why am I getting emotional about this? So as much as and it could also be have a lot to do with the fact that I got to experience those movies in theaters,
and also
and
as
I was
a kid,
older. I wasn't born when Episode 1 had already come out, and then I got to experience those when I was 6, and they were kind of out in theaters, but also just come out. No,
they were made for you at that point.
I was 11.
Yeah.
I went to the theater and I saw Episodes 1, 2, and 3 in theaters. From 11 to 18 when those movies came out. I worked at the theater for the Episode 3 premiere. Star Wars was a big part of my youth.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I have such an emotional attachment to it. That even though the prequels are as flawed as they are, and George Lucas tried to push the boundary with visual effects and digital filmmaking, all that sort of stuff. Those are things that I can really respect and applaud. And I may not be crazy about the stories, but for some reason, I still get emotional. I'm like, Episode 2, the experience of living through that. I feel very lucky that I got to live through, even though it was the re-release, I got to see the original trilogy in theaters, the prequel trilogy in theaters, and now I'm watching all these new movies in theaters. So it's a very fulfilling thing. And I get that people that don't have that experience because they either didn't have the opportunity to see them in theaters for whatever reason, or they weren't alive, or they were just too young, you know, or like you just never saw them. You didn't see them until you're 26, 27.
27 years old.
Yeah, so it's like everyone's experience is different. But for me, even though like those prequels are flawed, I still appreciate them. And like so many people still give George Lucas so much crap for those movies. And the fandom has a tendency to demand that these movies reflect them as a person or reflect them in culture.
Or what they think what Star Wars should be.
Exactly. Yeah. And George Lucas has talked about in interviews where he's like, look, and this was like 20 years ago when he made the prequels, he talks about how, you know, he's got 45-year-old men who are like yelling at him and sending him hate mail of like, you made this a kids thing and it's dumb and this and this. And he's like, guys, I made these movies for kids. They're space
At the
fantasies.
end of the day, Like
Luke Skywalker is an 18-year-old boy.
Right.
So if you're a 40-plus-year-old man who's complaining, I'm like, bro, these movies are about kids.
Yeah. I mean, he always had that and he talks about it all the time.
I mean, he was 30 when he made them.
Yeah, how these movies were always catered to be attractive to the kid's eye. Yeah. You know? So, yeah,
of course of course they tend to be a little more sophisticated because of how they were made and sort of their impact on culture. Right. But like it's a story about an 18-year-old kid who like leaves home and to go be an adult.
Right, exactly. And think about the time of movies when the original trilogy came out too. People looked at Star Wars and they're like, what is this weird shit? Like, I'm never going to go watch.
Stephen Colbert talked about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, none of the adults wanted to go watch a space opera because it just was completely out of people's minds.
That wasn't the culture back then.
No, people didn't watch that shit. People watched what, like...
It was all about, like, especially back then, it was like the God. It was like these very sort of like, I don't know, these highly regarded films.
People were watching back then.
Well,
honestly,
things
I'm
like, you know, it was a bunch of like Steve McQueen stuff and Coppola and like kind of young Spielberg with Jaws and all these and Close Encounters and all that sort of stuff. But it was like, I don't know.
Cinema was different.
It was cinema. You know, it was like this thing that it's just evolved so much.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. So I will take back the fact that I hate these movies completely, only for the fact that they gave Gendy a chance to do the Clone Wars animated saga.
Look, y'all need to just give Gendy a Disney Plus Star Wars show.
Well, did you see the show that he's doing now? It's called Savage.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
And also, I'm very mad he never got to do that Superman thing.
Well, I mean, the Superman thing was also a travesty. But if anything, it's on YouTube. It's like an hour-long series that he did, and it's just, if you haven't seen it, to me, it's the greatest piece of Star Wars film, anything that was ever created. What, Zach?
Yeah.
Same. So Zach agrees.
Gendy Star Wars is like top notch.
It's Pizza Chef.
The tone,
it doesn't
the
get
animation,
any better. Yeah.
Like everything.
Like if you love Samurai Jack, you're gonna love this. Yeah. If you love that kind of like samurai mentality, Bushido kind of like what
Mace Windu does some shit in that series that I'm like, yo.
He grabs the wires and it acts like the brains of a ship, and he holds the ship with one hand and he's flying through the air with his lightsaber, slicing motherfuckers up. I'm just like, it does not get better. He pulls all of the screws out of a droid and then shoots them back at a bunch of other droids. It's so good. It's just, I just can't praise it enough.
It tingles my jingles so hard.
So if anything, I'll give those movies, I'm glad they exist because that was created from them.
True.
So I'm good.
Fair.
I literally just thought of that, so I'm like, you know what? Okay. I'll give those movies a little credit.
Credit where credit is due, you know what I'm saying?
A little credit.
Let's stay on the train of Disney Plus. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got a few more details about that series. It's a show that after the post-Endgame, in a post-Endgame world, I'm very interested in this series.
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Will it stay that, or will it become, at some point, Captain America and the Winter Soldier? We don't know.
Or what if it's Falcon and Captain America? Is it going to switch off at one point? Like, is Falcon going to love being Cap?
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Apparently, this series will, to some extent, deal with the ending of Endgame and how the Falcon character potentially assumes the role of Captain America. This Falcon and Winter Soldier series could be a transitional series for Sam Wilson and adopting the identity of Captain America and what that means.
Right, exactly.
They did announce the director of all 6 episodes. It's going to be a 6-episode series that's going to debut on Disney Plus in August of next year. The director is Carrie Scogland. She's been a director on House of Cards, The Americans, The Walking Dead, The Punisher, The Handmaid's Tale. So a very, very, very experienced director. Just because you have not heard of her does not mean she doesn't have the credit.
Did she do that episode with The Punisher in the graveyard?
Ooh, I don't know.
Ooh, I hope she did.
It's listed on IMDb.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is a very experienced director who's done a ton of TV. This is just 5 or 6 credits that I listed.
Of everything
she's got
done,
24 credits for TV shows spanning the last like 15, 20 years. So obviously we learned from the Russo brothers that there is an opportunity for so many different types of directors to come into these things.
Absolutely.
And we have somebody who's worked on stuff like House of Cards, The Americans, Handmaid's Tale, Punisher, Walking Dead. That's a very, like, those are the types of, more so than the Russo brothers.
Right.
Way more so than the Russo brothers. And I'm like, oh, this is within the line of kind of like what I would expect a director coming into a comic book thing to do. Especially when you have Walking Dead and The Punisher sort of in your back pocket of things that you've done.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, not even that, but she has experience with the streaming format of directing things.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, like, I don't think people realize that kind of network television directing and being a part of the stories and doing writing and creating all that stuff has a certain format, and that format is going away.
Yeah.
And this new format of 6-episode miniseries produced with a super high budget, so it's essentially a 6-hour movie, works very differently from working a network television job, which she does have network television experience, by the way, so she has that. But also, Netflix and Disney Plus are changing the game with funding these original series, and it's kind of like the Wild West right now, which is really great. They're still trying to figure out, is a 13-episode thing the best way to go? Is the 6-episode thing the best way to go? Does it matter? Are we just going to tell a good story?
Exactly.
Like, what's going to happen? So having both kinds of experience, I feel, really helps her in the long run, because she's coming from the transitional old school world to the new school world, and she's killing it.
Yeah.
She's killing it.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm
I think
happy.
also, you know, having all that experience, and like you're saying, if you're going to tell a 6-part series, it is going to be like one giant movie, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, with interlocking stories, and not only interlocking within its own show, it also ties into the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Exactly.
So I think it's beneficial for them to have one director who comes in as like, great, I'm here for the entire arc of this show. I know how every little element plays into not just our pilot, but in episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I know the ramifications that will have on the greater MCU when they go make more movies. So that excites me. And I don't really know how many other digital series like Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Originals have kept the same director for everything.
Right.
Because as we know from things like Stranger Things, like all these digital series.
Yeah, people come in and do an episode. And just
a lot of those people come back for later seasons, or they come back and they do like a pilot and a finale, or you know, 2 to 3 episodes in a season. But I'm really excited to see, and maybe I just need to do more research to really find out, like, is there a series that's on right now on digital or on TV that has one director running the whole thing?
Right.
If this will be kind of one of the firsts to do that, I'm excited to see how that consistency plays out, and if it's beneficial or not. You know, by episode 6, I'm like, man, maybe they should have switched up directors. I doubt it, because it's 6 episodes, and I think 6 episodes will just move.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I'm intrigued by the story, because they also did reveal that Daniel Bruhl and Emily Van Camp will come back as Colonel Helmut Zemo and as Sharon Carter.
Dope.
So, you know, this could kind of be somewhat of like a sequel to Civil War.
Kind of,
in the sense of they are going after the same villain.
Right.
And, you know, what's that villain's role in a post-Endgame universe?
Yeah, exactly.
Of trying to tear the Avengers apart, and now they are not necessarily torn apart, but are they still the Avengers?
Yeah, exactly.
Or are they in these little micro groups of like teams?
Or are Bucky and Falcon going off on their own and going rogue, and like maybe are they following some threads that Steve maybe left behind?
Exactly.
Or who knows? It's really interesting.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
I'm excited. I'm excited for these Disney Plus shows. I'm excited to see how they expand the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm glad that they're going to continue bringing back people while also creating new shows and new opportunities for new heroes, new heroines. You know, just more opportunities in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And those things will thankfully pay off in the movies.
Right.
So it's not like Netflix where it's kind of like, it's a part of it, but like it doesn't really matter if you've never seen Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher, any of that stuff.
Right.
I like the fact that this is like, I don't think it'll be so important that you'll have to have seen it, but if you do see it, you're going to be way more fulfilled.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. And yeah, it's not, I like to call it non-essential watching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just going to be like supplementary material, which will enhance your like us.
Yeah.
Like it will enhance definitely everything that we saw. Just like you don't have to watch every movie before you watch Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but you watch this and you're gonna be like, dope.
If this movie,
they still got it.
If this movie literally, or this 6-episode series tells the story of how Sam Wilson assumes the role of Captain America, you're gonna want to watch it.
Well, of course. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a really big deal. So, yeah.
So we'll see.
I'm into it.
Before we wrap out, we're going to get some viewer questions. If you're a part of the $5 tier or higher on Patreon, you can submit a question every single week for every episode of Hyperheroes that we do. We've got a few pulled up here. So let's get this bad boy going. The first question comes from Joseph Benda. I
got to cover the mic for that one.
Who's in the Gritos group.
Yep.
Thank you so much for the question, Joseph. What are some of your favorite YouTube channels, either to draw inspiration or just to decompress during downtime? I can answer these off the top of my head.
Do it.
Because I have quite a few.
I have a lot.
I really like watching Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk is an entrepreneur who does a lot of business-centric, social media-centric videos on how to grow your social media following, how to tactically attack business opportunities and all that sort of stuff. I really, really, really enjoy consuming his content on YouTube. He is also very, very proactive on all social media networks, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. He's got a text messaging service through an app called Community that was started by Ashton Kutcher. Just like a very, very active person with his community. And I really, really love consuming his content. We also have become pretty big fans of Peter McKinnon in this house.
Okay.
Peter McKinnon is a photographer/filmmaker who's been doing YouTube content for about 3 years now. I discovered him when I came back from Europe on my first trip a couple years ago, and I was trying to, I really wanted to get more into social media, and I was like, man, I gotta find someone who really like gets it and
understands
it,
and can convey the information.
Yeah. So I started watching his stuff, and he has a lot of really good tips and tricks on filmmaking and Premiere and After Effects, Photoshop, all that sort of stuff. And through that, I sort of started discovering all these other creators. Toronto's got a huge community of creators that I love.
Okay.
Peter McKinnon's group. There's other people. Casey Neistat. I love watching his stuff. He's an incredible filmmaker.
He's a legendary.
Yeah. Sarah
YouTuber.
Dietschy. She's an incredible tech YouTuber as well. MKBHD.
He's old school.
Yeah. I don't watch too many movie-centric YouTube channels anymore. I've really shifted. I used to watch religiously. I used to always watch Screen Junkies and Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns and Collider and all these things.
Yeah.
I still do from time to time, but because I feel like that market has become very saturated with opinions, I'm now like, great, I want to go focus on filmmaking and business and entrepreneurial stuff and social media. I don't really need to hear the 50,000 other opinions of Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Right. Well,
nothing against those people. It's just I don't
there's
need
nothing
it.
And I feel bad for saying that I don't watch any other superhero commenters or YouTubers or anything like that. And this is going to sound like I'm tooting our own home, but toot motherfuckers. I think that our discussions here cover a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we have healthy discussions about how things happen and why things we're not haters.
No.
Sometimes it sounds like we are, but honestly, it's probably it's tough love. It's probably for the best. And it's not like we're out there to shit on people, but I feel like all of our conversations fulfill my nerdy appetites because I have that around me in person.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about, and also I live in this house with Zach and Malika, and there's people coming in all the time.
Right.
We talk about superhero stuff all the time on the show.
Right. Exactly.
I talk with these guys about superhero. By that point, I'm like, I don't need to go see the 15th video about Captain America.
That's what I'm saying. And what I like about talking with Zach is I'm glad I have Zach and Hector in my life because they connect me to the comic books, and I'm glad I have you because you connect me to the tech side of the film. I pay attention to the animation field kind of things.
And then have our bases covered here.
Everybody else here is into something else, and that's amazing because I get to hear about things that I probably wouldn't have ventured out on my own to find, which is good. And that's just covering nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
On YouTube, what I follow a lot is comedians and comedy podcasts, basically. My favorite one, hands down, is called Your Mom's House. So if there's any mommies out there, keep your jeans high and tight. And if you watch the show, you'll know what that means.
I don't even want an explanation. I just love that.
It's fucking hilarious. I watch a lot of Theo Vaughn, who's really great. I watch Chris D'Elia. Who else do I watch? H3H3. I love me some H3H3. I love me some Jablinski games because I'm a huge Jack Black fan.
So good.
But I also follow because I'm in full dad mode now, and I'm like woodworking and like.
You know how many cooking shows I watch now?
Are you kidding me? Binging with Babish? Do you watch Binging with Babish? I love. He's my favorite.
Come on.
He was an ex-VFX artist too.
No way.
He used to do VFX. That's why his videos look so crispy all the time.
We need to get a bunch of these like former VFX artists who are now great creative content,
right?
Great content creaters that come here and just like do an episode.
Exactly, and just like hang out and talk and be like, so why'd you leave the industry? So tell us your shit story.
Yeah. Tell us how many credits you didn't get.
I love Tiger Belly. Do you listen to Bobby Lee's podcast, Tiger Belly?
Oh, that's awesome. Gotta be good.
Bobby Lee's dope.
Oh,
dude.
Hot Ones?
Yeah, Hot Ones is dope.
Bro.
I watch a lot of Hot Ones. Lindsay Ellis, actually.
Lindsay Ellis is great.
Gotta give her a shout out.
That's like one of the very few YouTubers who I'm like, great, but you do something very different.
Yeah, exactly. Who else do I follow? Nobody of Video Game Donkey. I love Video Game Donkey. Oh, Captain Disillusion. Do you watch Captain Disillusion?
No.
So what he does is he takes videos that are like super popular but are possibly fake, and he uses his VFX industry knowledge to prove why they are fake.
Is he the guy that has like
the half face, half silver?
Okay, I have seen.
He
I think I'm subscribed actually.
Yeah, you should be because he's super knowledgeable on everything that has to do with videos.
Gotcha.
Like there's this one video of like a statue. I think it was a statue or something floating down the street in a flood in like Thailand or something like that, and he went in and proved. Because of the camera tracking, because of little things, he'll go in and spot a pixel and be like, "Oh, there's your matte line. Dang. Like, I see your matte line, homie," and call it out.
That's more
dude.
obsessed than me.
Oh yeah, like this guy is super
impressive.
duper obsessed. So I think that's it as far as like the regular YouTube channels that I follow.
Yeah, and you know, like a lot of the stuff that I follow, it usually comes from one of the channels that I primarily follow. If it's like Peter McKinnon,
which is Hyper RPG, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, obviously.
Numero uno.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it usually will come from like Peter McKinnon, MKBHD, Casey Neistat. It's those people that they collaborate with that I'm like, cool, I like this person. I'm gonna go follow them now.
Exactly.
You know, yeah, like I have a lot of those. You know,
just go down that list. Go down that list.
Philip DeFranco's a big one.
Oh, of course, Philly D's.
Dude, news coverage.
Yeah, that's
my news source.
That's
my news
stuff
source
right there. Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, there's so many great ones. You know, most of the entertainment stuff.
Yeah.
It comes from very few channels, but they're people who consistently put out really good content.
Yeah, So follow all those people.
Yeah.
Those are all great
We
things.
just named off so many.
I know.
You're
Lots
welcome.
of content for you guys.
So much, tons. Dakota Sturm has the next question. My question to you guys is, with complaints about introducing the Green Goblin again because it's been used too much, do you think it would be a good idea to bring in Norman and lead the Dark Avengers at one point down the road? Thanks for all the amazing content you create. Don't ever change. Love you, 3000.
Oh, that's so special now.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I would be okay with him doing the Green Goblin, mostly because in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, nothing really happened with him. And Harry was kind of in one movie, and that was it. And it was supposed to lead up to all these things that never paid off. And then we had him in 2002 with Willem Dafoe. So I think if they were
in Spider-Verse in a different version.
Exactly.
The ultimate version.
Exactly. So like I think if they were to do Green Goblin again, it would be established for a greater universe. And that is a different take than we've seen previously. And I'm open to it. I'm all for it. If it ends up leading, oh Jesus.
Oh God, here we go.
Would you watch a Superman movie without any mention of Lex Luthor?
I would.
Well, fuck you.
It was called Man of Steel,
I
Zach.
totally would. I'd watch if they never mentioned Lex Luthor and talked about Bizarro the whole time. I'd be happy. I know.
I love your opinions. I respect you, and I think you bring up. Wait, you brought up no points. You just stated an opinion, but I respect you either way.
Thanks, Zach. That's why I work here.
But yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. You know, like I'm not against it. I think we've gotten to a point now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where there have been a lot of rumors of like, well, is Norman Osborn Oscorp going to come in and buy out Stark Industries?
Right.
Are they going to buy up Avengers Tower and that will become the new Oscorp? It's all rumors. None of it is true or confirmed.
Nothing is substantiated.
But you know, like I'm I'm up for the idea of them doing something new and different with Norman and leading to the Dark Avengers, and maybe if that in some way, shape, or form leads into Sinister Six or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
I'm open to it. Just, do it the right way.
I as well am open to everything. I feel like the move towards Dark Avengers maybe is a little too predictable. Maybe, but I'm not super duper knowledgeable in the Dark Avengers and like exactly how they come about. But at the same time,
you better be careful what you say, otherwise he's gonna jump and
Zach's
eat your microphone. Look at him.
Zach's gonna
he's
fire me off the show.
Jesus.
I know. Calm down, Zach. It's okay.
You're like kaiju sometimes.
So, but that's the thing though. Like I'm not necessarily I'm not against it. I just feel like I feel like there is a path to go down now that you don't necessarily follow the arcs like they did for it's I don't even know where I'm going, but like you don't necessarily have to follow the comic book arcs to the T.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't follow Infinity War to the T. Yeah, exactly. They didn't follow Infinity War to the T. We don't need to follow Dark Avengers to the T if it happens to start off with the Green Goblin or whatever. Like, what if Kraven the Hunter starts off the Sinister Six or whatever? Like, that would be a backwards way of going.
Dark Avengers and Thunderbolts will be like one thing.
Okay, see, so Dark Avengers and Thunderbolts would be one thing. So but you don't necessarily have to go about it the way the comic books do. Is what
it doesn't have to be a one-to-one translation.
Exactly, and so I feel like at this point, Marvel left us with such a huge question mark that we're just grasping for anything at this point.
Please, dear God, what's next?
Like, oh
what's
my
next?
God,
Who's going to be the next big bad?
All the X-Men right now.
By the way,
Fantastic
we have
Four.
gotten this question every single week about who the next big bad in the MCU is. You guys don't have to keep asking. We literally addressed this like 3 episodes ago. Y'all gotta watch the episodes.
Yeah.
We don't want a big bad.
Yeah, no, I don't want.
You can find out the rest later.
A central big bad,
Yeah.
but go back and watch the episodes. You'll figure out what's up. But yeah, I feel like right now is a perfect time for Marvel to flex and be like, look, guys, we are going to just have a character, stay true to that character, and not even necessarily follow a comic book line. Like comic books do that every week. Like we're getting fresh takes on the characters, and like in June, the X-Men are getting a complete comic book reboot.
Oh yeah,
they're canceling.
That,
yeah, they're canceling all the books. Everything that happened is. It happened. It's done. We're starting over. So if you're looking,
I wonder why.
I don't know. Nobody knows. So this is going to be a point where if you're daunted by the X-Men storyline, daunted by comic books, this is a perfect place for you to jump in because it's a fresh take. So I feel like the movies are eventually going to have to jump into that because not necessarily that there's a shortage of good stories to tell. It's just not doing yourself a favor to stick to this legendary story arc from the comics, as good as it is. Like take hints from that. Like there's amazing writers that you can take small hints from, but you don't have to hold that as like this is canon.
Right.
Stick to the character's
concept.
Canon, the concept. Like don't betray a character. Like have Superman killing people or have like Batman killing people. Stay true to those characters, those core concepts.
Yeah.
And then take those characters and do your thing.
Right.
Because there's people who have tons of stories, and it'll be such a disservice to tell somebody, well, we love what you're doing. We love your idea. Maybe we'll get to it one day, but we got to do Secret Wars first.
I mean, Civil War is a perfect example. Like I have a friend who was not enthusiastic about Civil War because like, well, it's so different from the comic book. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, they don't own all the rights. They did not own all the rights to all the characters back then.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the Civil War story from the movie is serving the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Exactly.
It's not.
Exactly.
They're not going in there like, okay, cool,
one-to-one.
guys, we got to adapt this comic book story and we got to do a 1-to-1. So how do we do that? How do we make it fit with the other movies? You don't.
So one of the big elements of the first Civil War was a cyborg Thor that Tony Stark created, and Thor got pissed off about it, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to add that in a comic book because now it's cyborg Thor. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
Not only that, it's like part of it is about identities.
Exactly.
God,
most of it is because of
the first MCU
identities.
movie is like, I'm Iron Man. We don't care about identities, secret identities. Like, oh, okay. So it's like, again, it's adaptation.
Right.
It's being inspired by Civil War. Like the comic book Civil War inspired Captain America Civil War.
Exactly.
And they looked at the comic, they went, great. The outline of the story is so rich and so interesting.
And this will
with everything
serve
that's going
our
on
universe
in
this way.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah.
It's like adapting cool stories and cool elements to give us something that we probably have never seen before. I mean, we did not expect Endgame and Infinity War to end the way they did. So, everybody thought they knew. Zach thought he knew. I thought I knew. You thought you knew. And we had no idea.
Look, if you watch our pre-snap recap, I was pretty close on a lot of stuff.
Actually, you were real close. You were real close on a bunch of that stuff.
Next question comes from Davlin.
Wait, Davlin?
With a new Batwoman series coming, who would you like to see be a part of the show? Me, I'd love to see Kevin Conroy take some role as John Wesley Shipp did in Flash. Thanks for your time. Loved y'all since concession stand days. Thank you so much for the question. That's some old schoolness.
That's old school.
I have something I need to say about Batwoman. I posted the trailer to Batwoman on our Instagram TV on Hyper Heroes, and 98% of the comments have been so incredibly homophobic and misogynistic and just
rude.
downright terrible that it made the entire comment section of that video an absolute nightmare to deal with. I'm not saying that's anyone here who's watching, because most of you who are still here and you are watching, you obviously don't share a lot of those opinions, or if you do, you don't vocalize them in the way that a lot of these people have vocalized.
Yeah.
If you are not looking forward to Batwoman for whatever reason outside of, the technical elements of it, there is a way to say it that probably is a lot more constructive and tasteful than just being downright nasty about it,
homophobic, and maybe racist.
Use your words.
Yeah.
Use your words.
Yeah.
There have been some people who are very much like, look, my issues with the show have nothing to do with these things. It's more of a writing, it's acting, it's directing, it's cinematography. Hey, that's fair. But if the only reason you don't want to watch this show is because you have a problem with a female character saying that she doesn't want Batman to take credit for all the work that she's doing, that's pretty weak sauce.
That's very weak sauce. There's no argument there.
No. So, come on, guys.
Yeah. So I will probably only watch a couple of episodes of this, and that's not to say that it's because I don't like Batwoman. It's just I find it very difficult to keep to the TV format. Like the
23 episode commitment.
The
for 10
more
months.
content comes out on Hulu and Disney Plus and just everything, the more I'm just like, guys, I'm going to wait until I have all this time to watch it, and then watch it all. Just watch a 6-episode miniseries or whatever. Like the 23 hours of stuff that I have to watch, and like 50% of it being filler because they kind of have to weave that in to get those episodes in. I'm just like, I don't have the time for this. Like, I don't have the patience for it. It's a huge, huge time commitment, which I already don't have. So that's my problem with network television.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of my big thing, too. And, like things like Doom Patrol and Titans, that's a lot easier to watch because it's 11 episodes. You kind of go in,
you
go
just
out.
knock it out. And it's all available for you now.
It's
like
all on
you
DC
can
Universe.
I
can just click and play and go and watch, and it's great. It's
exactly.
the reason why I've watched way more of Doom Patrol and of Titans.
Right.
And I'm going to watch Swamp Thing and Stargirl when it comes out.
It's there.
Because it's there, and it's going to be 6 to 10 episodes. And I'm like, great, I can do this fairly quickly.
Right, exactly.
But to answer the question about if I would like to see somebody or who I would like to see, or if Kevin Conroy would be somebody,
that would be dope.
I think it'd be really cool to see Kevin Conroy play somebody. Do I necessarily want to see him play Bruce Wayne? No,
not necessarily.
No, because I mean, at this point, Kevin Conroy is a little bit older now. Yeah. But it would be cool to see characters or actors who have appeared in previous Batman, shows or things to come in as different characters. For example, it would be cool maybe if Kevin Conroy came in to play the mayor of Gotham City or something.
What about the commish?
I think that's
a big role. That's a big role.
Yeah.
But come on, man, let's give it to him.
If he was like the mayor of Gotham City,
because what's
cool.
Batwoman's involvement with the commish? Like, is she's not buddy with him?
I don't know.
Right?
They haven't established that yet.
Exactly.
At least it wasn't established in the crossover event, which Kate Kane was in, and it wasn't established in the trailer. There's Lucius Fox's son.
Yeah.
So there are like little elements of Batman that are in there, but not fully like Gordon Alfred sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious to see what that could be. But I mean, like, have Kevin Conroy on there as
absolutely.
Either her father. Like, if he's her father, her father's already on the show, so he can't be that. But put Kevin Conroy there as like the mayor of Gotham City or something.
I agree. Yeah, but I honestly like, given the fact that I have stated that I'm probably only going to watch a few episodes of this, I want this show to stand strong in its commitment to what it came out to do. They're like, look, we are going to stand our ground with a Batwoman who is gay. Like, this is going to be the part of this character.
Yeah.
You may not like it, but
guys, that's what the comics are doing.
That's what the comics are doing. But first of all, like, I would just implore them to stick to their guns.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, like, don't even have cool people. Like, even if Kevin Conroy doesn't show up, let's have this character be a badass.
Totally.
Like, let's have nothing that anybody can say that is, like, the only thing people are going to be able to say is going to make them sound stupid, like stupid homophobic comments, or just stupid sexist comments that you're just like, well, a woman can't do this, or like, she's gay, so she can't do it. So those people are going to single themselves out. Yeah. And let's have this character stand so strong that you can't say shit.
Like, yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like a lot of people who made those comments didn't even watch the crossover from last year.
Right, exactly.
Because she was great in it. Yeah. She had a very limited amount of time on there, but I thought Ruby Rose did great as the actor playing the character. The character played a role that I thought was totally fine in the crossover
story,
event. Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know why genuinely, I was surprised. I was like, damn, people are mad? I thought all these people loved Batwoman from the crossover. What happened?
We're definitely in an LA bubble, that's for sure. Not the rest of the country thinks
Not even going to say the rest of what I was going to say because...
Don't even go there.
Can of worms, baby. Can of worms.
Don't even go there.
But give it a shot.
Yeah.
Watch it. If it's not for you, that's totally fine. There are literally 24 other superhero shows that you can watch that are for you.
Absolutely.
But, like, let's be okay with there being a diverse cast of characters in superhero lore because that's how the comics are, and it's fine.
Exactly.
Final question of the night comes from Gaiaz, who's in the Hyper Homies tier. You're good.
No, we still have two more.
Oh,
we still have three more.
Guys, I didn't read, apparently.
We still have three more questions.
Hello, Hyper Homies. Hope you are doing great. Just saw Adam's Insta-feed on the epic Lawrence of Arabia limited edition Blu-ray collection, and my mind went all nostalgic. So, I was just curious to know about your favorite classics, movies from the 60s or before, which you still consider as the finest pieces of art, movies which can't be replaced or shouldn't be remade according to you. Cheers. So this is the Lawrence of Arabia Blu-ray set that he's talking about. There actually is an entire box set, which also has a book that has a foreword by Steven Spielberg. There's a film strip that goes along with it. There's like 4 discs in here. It has the soundtrack. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in here. Lawrence of Arabia is probably one of my favorite movies ever. David Lean's directing and the cinematography in this is just pizza chef.
Delicious.
There's quite a few. I mean, there are definitely a lot of movies that I really like that are more about the technical elements. Movies like How the West Was Won, which is all captured in Cinerama format, which is a camera that has 3 lenses that captures a really wide viewing angle. So there's a lot of those types of movies that I love. But yeah, any specific ones? I'm trying to think. Like How the West Was Won is definitely one of them. I feel like I'm now blanking on movies like pre-60s.
You think I know my answer.
Oh,
because my answers are technically not films, but they're short films.
Okay.
They're all the Disney classic animated shorts and the Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny, all those
are good ones.
And to me, those are labors of love. That's the golden age of animation. You see people who put their time and their effort and their amazing animation skills and storytelling skills, and they get chalked up as being just little kids shows now, and they don't even show them on TV anymore, which fucking sucks. I'm super bummed about that. But to me, those are masterpieces, like the old school Disney, like when Goofy goes camping or whatever, or like Disney or Mickey Mouse gets sucked into Alice in Wonderland, like the crazy stuff that they did. They broke ground with animation. They broke ground with filmmaking. They broke ground with storytelling. They developed what's it called? Animatics? No, not even animatics. Just like, what's it called? Where they storyboard the entire story first before they even go and create anything to save time on animation. So storyboarding.
The story? No, but are you talking about like modern or like classic?
Well, classic stuff. Back then when they developed all that. Like just being a kid back then and just saying, I want to draw cartoons, and then you could go and you could walk onto the Disney lot back in the day and be like, guys, I drew these cartoons. perfect, go animate.
Yeah.
Like, I wish
Go
I
do some
had
work,
had
baby.
that opportunity,
I
you know?
know.
So to me, like, that whole era of animation and that whole era of filmmaking is what got me into filmmaking as well. And if you go back and visit those cartoons, like the old Chuck Jones cartoons were amazing. The way he wrote Bugs Bunny and the jokes that he did are just fucking...
Yeah.
I cannot not ever enjoy those things because they're just so perfect. And
yeah, and you know, a lot of times there's a lot of conversations that people have about movies and animated stuff and all these things of like, we should not talk about it, we should not show it, we should not do this, we should not do that, we should ban this or ban that. I'm like, I have a very opposite opinion about that.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that we should get rid of movies and shows and animation and all that sort of stuff, because to me, art is a reflection of the time period in which it was created and it existed and was inspired by. So there are obviously very problematic, by today's standards, very problematic movies and shows and cartoons.
Right.
But to me, to me personally, it's like that is a reflection of the time period that we lived in.
Right.
And the whole point, in my opinion, is that we're supposed to learn from that.
Exactly.
We look at a movie that's made from the 40s, 50s, or 60s, and we look at the characters and like, this treats women terribly. This treats people of color terribly.
Right.
This does this horribly. This has this political opinion.
Yeah.
But I look at that and I go like, damn, that's crazy to think that back in 1957, you know, in the late 50s, this was the mindset towards these sorts of things.
Exactly.
Look at what we've learned because of that, because of history.
Right.
So that's sort of my stance on stuff, you know.
And so the really cool thing about Warner Brothers put out the Golden Collection of the cartoons, right? They had an introduction with Whoopi Goldberg, and she talks about this. And there's a little disclaimer that says, look, guys, these are products of their time, and destroying them or not acknowledging them is even worse than whatever terrible thing they portray, because it's like ignoring and not learning from your past is even worse than just like, you know, like just showing it, because like you said, Adam, it's something that you can take and learn from. Like, you're not there anymore. You can look back on it and say, that's not right. And that's your moral barometer right there. It's just like, cool. I understand that back then they were like this. We're not like that anymore. But look at this beautiful piece of art that was created back then, or, you know, whatever it is.
Or you look at those things and you go, oh, shit, we're doing stuff like this now.
Exactly.
How the hell did we get into the circle?
How are we still doing shit from 1940 nowadays?
Exactly.
Agreed,
So, like, that's sort of my whole stance on art when it comes to movies and TV and animation is like, I don't think we should get rid of it. I don't think we should hide it and sweep it under the rug. I think we should use them as educational tools.
I agree, 100%.
To teach people, like, hey, this is why this is not a good thing. So I'm probably in the minority on that. But a few other ones that I completely, like, spaced out on: Ben-Hur, North by Northwest, a lot of Hitchcock stuff, Psycho, obviously. Already mentioned Lawrence of Arabia. 2001: A Space Odyssey is like in my top 3 probably.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So yeah, I would say that, like, if you have not really embraced cinema from the 70s and like back, then I would definitely recommend checking out stuff. I think like Kubrick is obviously like a very obvious place to start. If you're kind of like, I don't know what to watch, just be forewarned, like, there are definitely things in there that you're gonna watch and you're like, what the fuck? Like, really weird and out there. But, like, again, those are products of their time. There are things about them that you can definitely still appreciate today. The weirdness, the technical elements about it. And there is probably story elements that you'll watch in many movies that you're going to go, damn, this does not hold up. I'm like, yeah, because we don't live in 1962 anymore.
But also, you're going to see things and you're going to be like, fuck, that's where that came from? Like, that's where that started? Oh, my God. Like, these are...
It's the give and take, right? It's like you take the good with the bad. You appreciate the stuff that, you know...
These people who were people who were breaking ground back then. And so you'll still see movies influenced to this day by stuff that happened back then.
Exactly.
It's both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. Next question comes from Anthony Rodriguez. Hey, Hyper Homies, my question is, with another Terminator movie coming out, do you think it's time to let that property rest after a few failed attempts after T2? With James Cameron producing, who knows if they can bring back that excitement from the first 2 movies. Keep up the great work.
This is a tough one.
I did a trailer reaction with Zach about Terminator Dark Fate. You can watch that either up in the card or through the description.
Click on Adam's face right now.
We don't have those types of things anymore.
I know.
Those annotations, those good old annotations. I miss those things sometimes. But yeah, I did a trailer trailer reaction very briefly. I wasn't crazy about the trailer. I still don't know how to feel overall about the movie. Do I want the Terminator series to end? Part of me, I don't know if I necessarily want it to end forever, but I definitely feel like within the last 10 years, we've had Genesis, we've had Terminator Salvation, now we're having this movie. I'd be okay if we didn't touch Terminator for 25, 30 years. And then, once Arnold has, at that point, definitely been done with Terminator,
Right.
I'd be totally fine with now embracing something new. Or if they never touch it again and we never get another Terminator movie, I will still have my Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day Blu-rays that I will be very happy to watch any time of the year.
Yeah. The Terminator series is a tough series to make that judgment call on, because I feel like it's always on the cusp of like doing something great.
I know.
It's like T1 and 2 are such good, groundbreaking movies that somebody's always trying to crack that code. And it's just like, we think we have it here, but we don't have it here. Let's try this over here. So I don't want to call it done and quit ever, because I feel like there's going to be one day where Adam Hlavik takes up the script and is just like, here's the Terminator movie you wanted.
I'm going to be 60 years old. I think I figured it out.
Exactly. But it's going to be this one point where somebody's just like, guys, this is what you do with Terminator. And that's why I don't want to call it a done deal. But for now, I'm okay with them just like calling it 1 and 2, ignoring the rest. And hopefully whatever this next movie comes out to be is a decent addition to it.
Look, if Terminator Dark Fate comes out and it's great from a story perspective, from a world-building perspective, from a technical, visual perspective standpoint, and it's all great and it's all gravy, and I'm like, cool, this is T3.
Right, exactly.
I'm happy with this trilogy.
Happy to call it. Yeah.
If it's another 30 years before my old ass decides to make a Terminator movie,
I'm just saying,
then
dude.
so be it, baby.
I'm just saying, dude.
So we'll see. We'll see. We'll have to wait and find out in November when this movie comes out.
Right.
The final question of the night comes from Hector Giovanni Navarrete.
He's popular in the question asking.
You're popular,
by the way. He's
homie.
all over the place.
You're always asking 5 questions. I'm always picking one of them. But you have good tactics.
That's
you
true.
have good tactics.
That's true.
Hey, Hyper Homies, with the news that Knights of the Old Republic is reportedly being done by Leita Kalogridis and not Weiss and Benioff, the creators of Game of Thrones, what Star Wars series or movies do you think or want them to do, since the speculation was that they'd be the ones doing KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic? This I don't believe, as far as I know, has been officially confirmed by Lucasfilm. So we don't know if this is if this is a movie that she's for sure doing. Some speculation was, well, maybe she's writing it for Benioff and Weiss, but those guys, I'm pretty sure, are going to be writing and directing at least the first movie of their trilogy.
Right.
But if they're not doing Knights of the Old Republic, there are so many things that they could be doing in the Star Wars universe. It's really hard to say. If the Mandalorian TV show is straight up just a bounty hunter story, then I think bounty hunter is out of the question. I would maybe like to explore something in the Outer Realm, or because of their experience with Game of Thrones and the hierarchy and sort of the structure of society and the very political nature of it, maybe we could get something that's very politically based in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
As someone who is now older and has a greater appreciation for that type of filmmaking and that type of subject matter, would I be interested in a movie that deals sort of with the politics of the Old Republic, the New Republic,
right.
The Jedi Order, and how the Republic works together, sort of stuff, the hierarchy of all that stuff. Maybe, it's very possible.
Right.
If they're like, hey, we're going to do a series that involves maybe Palpatine or a Palpatine-like character who now takes over the New Order and his ascension, through the rank, it's very, very possible.
Yeah.
Who will sit on the Jedi Iron Throne in this series?
Exactly.
It could be really cool.
Could be
but,
anybody,
I don't really have a specific singular thing.
Yeah.
But, I think if they're coming off of something like Game of Thrones, maybe it would behoove them to sort of stay within that realm of things that they know.
Yeah.
But, I'm kind of open for anybody who comes into Star Wars to just say, yo, we've kind of done the same thing for the last 3 trilogies. Let's do something way different.
Right.
Go into the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Go into the deep past.
Or even take it to
do a pod race series.
Pod racing, or even
right. It could be kind of fun.
Maybe take a hint from Avatar and have people who don't necessarily know the expansiveness of the Force, but they're like, oh, well, I figured out that I can manipulate this specific thing with the Force, and there's a tribe of people who are specialists in one aspect of the Force.
You want Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, like,
No,
you
for
could
sure,
take
though.
that in so many different ways,
yeah.
though. Like, you can have, like, lightning manipulation or just, like, whatever.
Like, you're a master of lightning.
Or, like, just a master of mind manipulation.
Yeah.
Like, this tribe is very dangerous because wherever they go, they take over people's thrones because they can manipulate the minds of people.
Right.
So, like, and then people have to counter that. And so, like, there's so many different, basically limitless things that you can do with the Force because we haven't explored everything that we can do with the Force to begin with. But I feel like there's so many different ways that you can go now. Knights of the Old Republic is amazing and it should be done. But I feel like there is so many other places in the galaxy to go that you could literally create anything and I'd be like, okay. Like, shoot me that idea.
Imagine
like,
if those
I'll be
guys
down
were like,
with
we're
that.
going to go 250 years in the future.
Dog, what does that look like?
Bro.
What does that look like? I don't understand what that. I don't even know.
My mind just inverted.
Right. I'm trying to think of what's 200 years of lightsaber evolution look like. You know?
My God.
Is anybody going to evolve them? Because
Yeah.
apparently it was an ancient weapon.
Right.
So what?
Are we done with lightsabers? What's the next
is
thing?
that not even a thing?
Yeah.
Like, what's the next type of thing that you do? Like,
Yeah.
are people? I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
That's
so,
the sort of like creative roadblock that someone like me, if I was like a very skilled writer and director and I had
Right.
experience in the industry, I'd be like, let me crack my knucks. Let me
Yep,
go 500
yep.
years into the Star Wars future, completely disconnected from the Skywalker saga. And it's like, we're going to establish the future
Exactly.
universe of Star Wars. I'd be
Future,
like,
what
oh
does
shit,
that look
okay.
like? Yeah. So that's me. Like, I whenever I start thinking about the potential future, the potentiality of Star Wars,
My
it's
man.
almost too big to think about
Yeah.
because literally it's an entire universe
Yeah.
that you can write. Like,
What if 250 years in the
I don't know,
future, the
man.
universe has been like, the central systems of the Republic have been wiped out?
Right,
Because
exactly.
of a black hole or some
right,
shit.
exactly. Or what if, like, have you heard about the theory of the heat death of the universe, in which everything is going to expand so far away that the heat of everything is going to be the same temperature. So basically everything's going to be frozen and like the universe is literally dying and somebody finds something that might be able to reverse the heat death of the universe, or I don't know, just some crazy, just whatever type
like,
shit.
Look,
like,
man, it's
you can do
Star Wars.
anything.
It's in a galaxy far, far away. It
Yeah.
doesn't technically have to make scientific sense. It's
nothing
not
has to
science
make-
fiction.
if they can
Star
throw
Wars
in-
is a fantasy.
If they can throw in racist Trade Federation dudes, they can do whatever they want to anything
Anytime
else.
someone mentions Trade Federation, I want to do the impression. And I'm like, I'm not going to go
Don't
down
do
that
it.
rabbit
Just don't
hole.
even do it. Don't even do it.
Don't bother.
It's just
Don't
not a
bother.
thing
Don't
anymore.
bother. Don't bother.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see. But I'm open to whatever they want to do.
It breaks my brain.
I watched the final season of Game of Thrones, and because they're not necessarily going off of a book, I wasn't super crazy about a lot of the choices that they made with a lot of the characters.
I heard.
Yeah. But look, if it's Star Wars, there's a lot more material to sort of mine from and work from, or to
Yeah.
just be inspired by and go do something different. So
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. We'll find out.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. But thank you guys, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate all the questions. Again, if you want to ask questions every single week on Hyper Heroes, you can join our Patreon in the Hyper Homies tier or above. If you want to join the Bonjoro tier, this pretty face or any pretty face in this
Got
house
you.
will send you a custom message every single
That
month.
little doggy kaiju face.
He'll fart
send
on you
one.
or
Yeah.
something. We'll
Yep.
send you some stinky
Yep.
poos.
Yep.
In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments about everything that we talked about. If you're listening on the podcast, leave a like, review, please, for the love of God, so we can get our podcast up in them charts. And if you have not subscribed on the YouTube channel, jump on over, youtube.com/hyperrpg. We're doing new stuff every single week. We're going to be launching so much stuff soon. And you should watch Comics and Coffee live at 5 p.m. Pacific every single Wednesday. We read some new comics, we hang out, we talk some shit, and I make fun of Zach. It's my favorite thing
Yeah,
to do
that's
all week.
the best thing to do all week.
In the meantime, check us out next week. Hector will hopefully be back, unless he decides to go on another vacation.
Oh, we kicked him out, remember?
That's right, we fired him.
Just kidding.
But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next episode. Bye.